think I heard you, but can you say it one more time, Democrats, so we're clear? Okay. Okay. I said okay. Man. Now you know you've lost the plot when your big resistance moment ends with you screaming no at your own members for reopening the government. Now, this is what the end of leverage looks like. 43 days of a Democrat shutdown, and the first people to crack. Guess who? Democrats. Now, quick reality check. It was 6 Democrats who quietly hit yes. The House flips, and suddenly the same folks who told you they care about federal workers are furious. The checks are about to go out again. This isn't about federal workers. It never was. If you ask me, I think it was about power. But my guy Trump still put pen to paper. Yep. So while they were out there screeching on the House floor, this was happening in the Oval Office. Pen to paper. Shutdown over. I don't see no secret DEI side deals, no just a little for illegals in the fine print. The same man they swore could never negotiate, just reopen the government on its terms. With their party fighting itself in the background. Now, they called it the Schumer shutdown for a reason. Schumer drew a line in the sand. Trump didn't move. And when the dust settles, Chuck, who has to circle back to his own base and explain why all this pain brought them absolutely nothing, like at all. And then, when the ink is still drying, Trump drops the part that terrifies them, the Obamacare money.
Going to go down. It went the exact opposite with the biggest increase of healthcare in any country. It's a disaster. And I'm calling today for insurance companies not to be paid, but for the money, this massive amount of money, to be paid directly to the people of our country so that they can buy their own health care, which will be far better and far less expensive than the disaster known as Obamacare. And I've had, I think, great support. I've even had Democrat support. So we want the money that would be going to the insurance company, which is hundreds of billions of dollars. You know, their stock prices have gone up by 1,000% in many cases, 1,000% over a short period of time, because our country stupidly pays them so much money with this Obamacare scandal. So I want the money to go directly to you, the people. And you go out and you'll buy your own health insurance and you'll negotiate different plans and you'll get much better insurance and you will be an entrepreneur for yourself. So I'm always willing to work with anyone, including the other party. We'll work on something having to do with health care. We can do a lot better. We can do great. So much money is involved, and we're willing to pay so much money to the people. So we're going to pay a lot of money to the people. They're going to go out and buy their own health care, and we're going to forget this Obamacare madness. So with all of that, I just want to tell you the country has never been in better shape.
I voted for this. Man. This is the part this is the part that the average person they don't want to understand. They don't want you to be able to understand this. For years, Washington laundered your tax dollars through these insurance companies. They take your money, they keep your cut, then graciously help you afford a plan that still leaves you ding, 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 broke. Trump just said the quiet solution out loud. Stop paying the companies, pay the people. I can give it that. Because that's not extreme, is it? That's basic respect. If the money came from you, it should touch your hands, not vanish in a boardroom, then reappear as a copay in a 1000% stock chart. And the math slips even more when you ask Democrats simple questions. It's always the simple questions. Always. Do you support letting taxpayers actually touch their own money?
President Trump is now talking about leaving the government out of the health care issue and sending the money straight to the American people. Would you support that? Is that a fix for this ongoing problem?
Well, Republicans used to call that redistribution of wealth. Someone ought to ask them, is this redistribution of wealth when you take money from the American people? By the way, those are tax dollars. Those are tax dollars. This whole fiasco has been one episode of pretense on the president's part that the money is coming from China and other countries, while in fact it has been coming from many of the business people in this country and some of the consumers in this country. So those are tax dollars. And what he's saying to people is, I'll take your tax dollars and give you some of your tax dollars back. I find that very offensive. You shouldn't take them in the first place under the guise of saying that they're coming from another country. That's an insult.
Are there any bipartisan discussions being had on a fix to this issue? Because the premiums are just skyrocketing under Obamacare, and they will continue to do so. Is there an alternative solution being discussed here?
Leader Jeffries and Democratic leaders have indicated consistently that they are amenable to negotiation. They've said it since day one and before, because this could have been negotiated before they brought the stealthy, filthy bill to the floor. And that's what's coming from the Senate. It is stealthy and it is filthy. It is not clean. It is not a clean CR. So they could have negotiated before now, but they choose not to, and the they means the Republicans. If they choose to negotiate, fine, let's do that. But don't choose to have us capitulate and then call that having been a negotiation. No, capitulation is take it or leave it. Negotiation is give and take. They're willing to take, but they're not willing to give.
So do you think, how are you going to vote tonight? Shouldn't we have the government reopen so that we can have these negotiations and these discussions?
The government never should have closed. They have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. So let's not talk about reopen. Let's talk about why they closed it in the first place.
But it's the Democrats who continue to vote to keep it shut down.
Well, the Republicans have another option. Anytime they want, they could have in the Senate done for this country what they did for Gorsuch. Gorsuch could not get 60 votes. He could not. They then resorted to a majority rule as opposed to a 60-vote rule. And they then put Gorsuch on the Supreme Court with 54 votes. The vote count was 54-45. They could have done that. They did not have to do what they've done, and that is create this stealthy, filthy piece of legislation with the expectation that we would not want negotiation and would give them capitulation. We're not going to capitulate. Well, let me speak for Al Green, a liberated Democrat. I, Al Green, liberated Democrat, will not capitulate. I believe that the American people deserve the health care that we in Congress have. What is interesting about this is most of these people who are deciding the health care issue have some of the best health care in the world. Why would they then become concerned about people who are among the least, the last, and the lost having what they take for granted, meaning the very wealthy, the well-off, the well-heeled, and the well-to-do? They have good health care, but they, for some reason, believe that poor people can do more with less, but wealthy people need more to do more. How do you manage that kind of thinking? Poor people can do more with less, and wealthy people need more to do more. So they've had the House, the Senate, and the presidency since the genesis of this. Now we're getting to revelations, and they have decided to give us another opportunity to vote for what I consider a stealthy, filthy, unclean CR.
I hope y'all were listening very carefully. The same people who built a whole identity around redistribution, suddenly think it's offensive when a redistribution skips the middleman and goes straight back to the taxpayer. You notice how fast it flips? When they take your money to feed, the bureaucracy, it's compassion. But when someone suggests giving you your own money back to choose your own plan, stealthy, filthy, and dangerous. He literally says members of Congress have the best health care in the world. And in the next breath, acts confused as to why you might want something better than what's ever left after their donor gets paid. Scam is being exposed. It was never about you. It was about them managing your life from a distance while pretending they're doing you a favor. And while Al Green is offended for you, press secretary, Karoline Leavitt, is in the briefing room quietly throwing the whole economic record in a trash.
And President Trump won a landslide election in part to address the affordability issues created by Joe Biden and the Democrats. And that's exactly what President Trump has done since day one of his administration. Since the first day in office and every day since, the Trump administration has taken aggressive action to fix the Biden-created cost of living issues. The notion that the same Democrats who just shut down the federal government to sabotage our economy, rob people of their paychecks, and also helped Joe Biden ratchet up inflation to 9% are now suddenly affordability champions, that notion is completely absurd. And it's something only the liberal media would have the gall to push. But the reality is that President Trump and his administration have done so much to lower prices and increase the economic prosperity of the American people. And this president and his team of amazing economic advisors are going to keep working on this issue every single day. And President Trump won a landslide.
Every single day. I'll finish that for you. Now, this is the part that hits normal people harder than any meme ever could, because Joe Biden and the Democrats presided over 9% inflation. They shut the government down. They delayed paychecks. And now they want to rebrand as affordability champions. You can lie about a lot of things in politics. You can't gaslight people over their grocery bills. So the Trump administration is basically saying, y'all broke it and we're here to fix it. And we're doing it by cutting your friends out of the loop and handing the cash back to the people who actually earned it. And Democrats, no. Once people get a taste of that, less middleman, more control. It's hard to go back to being grateful for a government coupon. So how do they respond when they realize they've lost the shutdown leverage? The moral high ground in the narrative?
Fight will end. Only two ways, Mr. Speaker, that this fight will end. Either Republicans finally decide to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits this year, or the American people will throw Republicans out of their jobs next year and end the speakership of Donald J. Trump once and for all. That's how this fight ends. Mr. Speaker, during this painful Trump-Republican shutdown, what we've seen is two different philosophies in terms of how to govern for the American people. The Democratic Party philosophy is clear. We are ready, willing, and able to find bipartisan common ground anytime, any place, to enact spending agreements that actually make life better for the American people. But in order to do that, we need to have partners on the other side of the aisle who are actually willing to find a bipartisan path forward. But what we've seen from Republicans from the very beginning of this presidency is a my way or the highway approach. That's been the Republican philosophy. Jam your extremism down the throats of the American people. That's what we've seen from day one of this presidency. That's the reason why the government has been shut down by Republicans and Donald Trump for the longest period of time in American history. What have we seen from Donald Trump and Republicans during this shutdown? A consistent unwillingness to actually find common ground in order to make life better for the American people. Donald Trump, during this shutdown, found the time to play golf week after week after week. Donald Trump found the time to pardon serial fraudsters like George Santos and Rudolph Giuliani.
This isn't a strategy. This is a tantrum with a microphone, if you ask me. Dollar store Obama. Mr. Hakeem Jeffries is on the floor screaming about Trump Republican shutdown, as they try to frame it, while his own party is the one voting with Trump in the end. To end it. They keep saying my way or the highway, but let's look at the scoreboard for a second. They tried to hold the government hostage. They tried to cram more Obamacare subsidies and illegal giveaways into the deal. And in the end, they got a reopening on Trump's timeline in Trump's terms. So now the only thing left to scream, or left to do rather, is to scream extremism and hope nobody notices their own members just abandon the script. Meanwhile, the White House is trolling them with sombrero memes in a funeral for the shutdown. Now, before I play this video, I don't know if the original music is going to play on here, but I'm finna enjoy myself. By the time I upload this, I'm going to have to probably... Man, I'm not gonna lie. This is petty and and it's absolutely deserved. I'll say that. RIP Democrats shut down. With the sombrero meme pack is the kind of trolling you only earn when you spend 43 days screaming about the soul of our democracy and end up caving for nothing. While they were busy calling everything racist AI, the reality is simple. Federal workers want their checks. Families who deserve and are being responsible. Rather, they want this snap chaos to stop. Voters are watching both parties and asking a basic question: who actually solved the problem? And the answer in this round was not the people in sombreros. But the most brutal part of all this isn't the memes. It's watching their own star call out Schumer. What? Yeah, AOC. And the Senate Democrats for photos.
And on the shutdown, how would you characterize the way that Senator Schumer handled this shutdown?
I think it's important that we understand that this is not just about Senator Schumer, but that this is about the Democratic Party. Senator Schumer, there was no one vote that ended this shutdown. We are talking about a coordinated effort of 8 senators with the knowledge of Leader Schumer voting to break with the entire Democratic Party in exchange for nothing. And now people's health care costs are going to be skyrocketing, and we want to make sure that we have a path to ending this moment and finding relief for them right now. But I think that when we talk about this debate about the Democratic Party, it is indeed about the party writ large and our ability to fight or not.
And that debate almost certainly will only intensify, especially as we head into the next deadline that will be set up by this bill, assuming it becomes law. That next deadline to fund most federal agencies, it would reopen the government through January 30th. So a new fight would begin, not just between Republicans and Democrats to fund the government at that point, but also between Democrats and Democrats.
Yeah, teeing up the potential for another government shutdown. Monteraj.
Here's where the shutdown really dies. When AOC is on camera saying Schumer and 8 Democrats broke with their own party for nothing, what she's really telling you is the grand plan failed. They didn't save Obamacare. Oh, no. They didn't lock in more subsidies. They didn't protect you from skyrocketing costs they helped create in the first place. They just burned 6 weeks, hurt working families, and walked away with a short-term funding patch that expires in January. And now, instead of Democrats versus Trump, it seems that it's Democrats versus Democrats. out screaming at defectors, AOC side-eyeing your boy Schumer, or her boy rather. And voters at home realizing none of these people went without a paycheck while they did. So let's try to connect all this. Democrats shut the government down over a bill they still didn't get. Trump refused to move, signed the reopening, and kept every penny they wanted for illegals and corporate middlemen off the table. Then he looked straight into the camera and said, stop paying these companies, pay the people. And they got offended by that. Yes, the response was screaming on the House floor, calling refunds offensive, and publicly turning on each other. This is why there's a mass exodus happening in their party right now. Not because people suddenly love Republicans, but because they're done being treated like props in somebody else's shutdown cosplay. You can call it Trump derangement syndrome, Schumer shutdown, whatever you want. At the end of the day, decided to actually reopen the government, actually proposed giving you your money back, and actually took the heat and won this round. So if you made it to the end of this video, that's actually what I want you to put in the comment section. Won this round. Cheers. Y'all be safe. Please go check on a friend today. You can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.